This episode of Another Happy Pod is going to contain spoilers. If you've not experienced the content yourself, please go ahead and do so before coming back and listening to the boys ramble on about it. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome back to Another Happy Pod. Today we're talking about Hamilton, aren't we, Nathan?
All right. There's absolutely no need for this sarcastic, fucking passive-aggressive bullshit. You lose one episode, okay, and suddenly you're the worst person. Hello, my name is Nathan Bauer. Welcome to the podcast. For those who don't know, which I'd imagine is most people, or all three of you who listen, last week, me and Lawrence recorded for a good hour, a little over an hour. We talked about Hamilton and recorded the full episode. And I sent Lawrence my audio files because we record remotely, obviously. And it was just blank. There was nothing on it. For some reason, it didn't record. There was some kind of problem with my microphone. Whatever happened, nothing picked up. So we have half an episode of Hamilton, specifically Lawrence's half. So
we've got all of my audio, so if anyone wants me to release that, it will be a one-sided conversation. I won't cut it. You'll just hear long, extended pauses where Nathan would be talking.
Exactly.
And I'm happy to upload that, and maybe you can treat it as an interactive experiment. You can chat along with me and try and predict where the conversation will go.
Yeah,
so if anyone's
choose
interested
your own adventure type of thing. Anyway, I'm quite annoyed, mostly at myself for this, because it was actually not to toot our own horn or anything, but I'm gonna toot it. It was actually quite a good episode, and I actually really enjoyed talking about Hamilton. I think we had a really good discussion about it, but it's fucking gone forever now.
You're right to toot. You're right to toot. It was a good episode. It was a good recording, at least on my part. But Nathan, surely you'd have had a backup, or maybe you could have restored the file. What, were you not using your computer to record the podcast?
All right, now you're just being a dick, okay? Fuck you, okay? Low blows, man. Low blows.
Nathan records on his PS4. Pass it on.
Outing me like this. Right. Fucking hell. Anyway, yeah, so Hamilton's gone. We may do it again at some point down the line. I'm not sure if we will, though, because
when the sequel comes out, we'll cover both of them.
Hamilton,
there's plenty more of Hamilton's story.
This
I reckon.
time, it's personal. When that comes out, we'll do. Or maybe when the movie, like the proper movie, like an actual filmed movie, comes out, maybe then we'll do it. But that'll probably be in like 60 years.
Who knows?
Anyway, so what are we talking about, Lawrence?
Today, we were going to plan to kind of have a little throwaway episode released last week, but we couldn't get round to it. However, today we are recording Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that Nathan and I frequently enjoy. I think, when did you first get this? I got this really late.
I also got it quite late. I got it like a full year after its release, and it's not something that was like not on my radar. Like, I was fully aware of this game, and I wanted this game as soon as it came out. The problem was this game was like 60 fucking quid, and it's one of those games, specifically a Rockstar game, which just doesn't go down in price. It's never on sale. Just fucking give Rockstar 60 quid or fuck off. So
yeah,
I was waiting for it to go on sale. I was waiting for some kind of PlayStation Store sale or something like that, because they usually have quite good deals. But it just never came, and it was about a year later, and I was just sat there in the living room, and I just fucking bit the bullet, and just, yeah.
The exact same happened to me, to be fair. I wanted it to go down in price. It wasn't really on my radar when it first came out. I lived with two people that both loved to play it. My roommates, my old roommates, Tom and Joe, who has been on this pod. They are big cowboy enthusiasts, and yeah, it was played a lot. I got to see a lot of it. I had a few goes on it. I didn't realize that you weren't supposed to just shoot random people. You know, in GTA, you can like run over anyone you fucking want.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want with kind of no repercussions. I shot like 8 people, and
Well, you
Joe was
can't do
really
that.
pissed off at me because I had he had a bounty in like a big city he needed to go to.
I would be too. That would put me in a right mood.
Well, no, but you know what it's like when you get a controller with a Rockstar game. You're like, right, who am I obliterating?
Well, I played the first one, so no.
I played the first one, but it was about what, like 10 more so
that's
years
the thing
now.
as well. I did play the first game, Red Dead Redemption, but again, it was like 10 years, and I haven't played it since. So there was quite a lot of times when I was playing this, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a callback. Guess I'll never know though. So
To be fair, I was like, should I replay the original Red Dead before this? And then I saw a 10-minute like summary YouTube video. I went, that's the clear choice, isn't it? Let's be honest.
The thing is, though, this game it's called Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's like Red Dead Redemption 0.5 or some shit, because it's actually a prequel. It's set before the first game,
which I like, and I think is a good choice, because there's a good sum of people like me that just wanted to play the newest, coolest game. They didn't really want to go back and revisit it and get the whole experience, because like also like not just the graphics, but like the game design and like the engines and the platforms that they run on. They like the comparison between the two, because of the sheer amount of time that it's been, is just beyond a joke at this point. Like,
it's better in pretty much every single way. Like I recently played the original game on PlayStation Now, which is a terrible service, by the way. But I started playing the original Red Dead Redemption on there, and I got about half an hour into it, and I was just like, this is fucking awful. I can't even do this. It's
not built for
us. It's like when you're just so used to the more updated and playable and the better mechanics and everything like that, it just feels like absolute garbage. That's kind of like the same reason why I'm quite hesitant at the moment to go back and play the original Last of Us, because the second one is just such an improvement in almost every single way, graphically, mechanics, and everything like that.
It's always like a risky line to walk when you play a sequel and there's a big amount of time difference, because obviously you have good memories of the first game, but the second one is just like, right, I could play the first one, or I could play the second one and have a much better time with it.
Exactly.
My first interaction to this franchise was actually Undead Nightmare, which was a really weird thing that happened.
Never played Undead Nightmare. I know, it's the zombie one, isn't it? But never played that. What was that like? Let's talk about that.
It was good. Like, to my knowledge, again, this is going back over a decade, so I might get some things wrong. I'm pretty sure you play as Jack Marston, who's the son of John Marston in the first game.
Yeah,
and he's actually like a little kid in the second one as well. And you play as him as a grown up, and you wake up and suddenly just everyone's a zombie. There's not really much logic to it, and I don't really think it's considered canon. It was more just like,
I would
it was sold as a separate
is.
game, but it was like a DLC before DLCs were a thing.
I think DLCs were a thing.
Oh, maybe I was just a young, inexperienced youth
Yeah.
that had never bought a DLC before, because this was at a time where I bought physical copies to games, Nathan, if you can remember that.
Disgusting.
Ugh, gross. But it was fine. Like, I enjoyed it enough for it to make me go out and buy the first game. So I guess that's something. But yeah, I haven't played it in years, and I really can't ever see myself revisiting it again, to be honest, after the second one, because the second one is pretty great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I'm pretty much the same. Like, after that little half an hour on the original game, I'm like, yeah, unless they do a remake or a remaster, I'm just never going to play this, because you just can't go back. So the game itself, Red Dead Redemption, what did you think of just the overall? Let's go with the story. Where are you at with that?
As in, Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Redemption 2?
Well, the one we're talking about, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, that one. So Red Dead Redemption 0.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like, the story is very long. It's a very generous game in terms of what it gives you for the money, which I was relieved at, because don't get me wrong, I think like the story of like GTA 5 is great and stuff like that, but it's also, it's very samey. Like you drive to a place and you shoot people. That's about it. But I did enjoy this one. It had a nice kind of like rhythm to the story where it all kind of flowed together very well. I think the characters were great. I think Arthur, who is the protagonist you play as, is a much better protagonist than John, which I think might be an unpopular opinion, or they might be people. I think people like them about the same, but a lot of people do still have the love for John. But I just think Arthur's got a little bit more. I don't know. There's just something about him that makes me like him a bit more. If that makes sense, he's more of a grounded character.
Arthur Morgan is one of the greatest video game characters ever written. But I guess my love for him though, and this is a tricky situation with the game. My love for him comes from the way I played him though, because like this game can end out different from you depending on the way you play it and depending like on the path you take.
What path did you take?
Honourable. Like I chose to be a very honourable person. I did like all the honourable choices, all the side missions, helping out random people and nuns and priests and random women in the woods and everything like that. I feel like if you take the thing about this game I like is if you take the time and really invest in that character. Sure, you can just play the main story. You can go to fucking Valentine and Saint Denis and shoot everyone you see and have a fun time. But if you actually take the time to do the side missions, if you invest in the character and actually care about his honor and everything like that, I think you're rewarded with some incredible storytelling. And especially towards the end of the game as well, I think.
For sure. When I first played this, so I've played it twice through now, and then like I've like picked it up and like I'm like halfway through the story again, but I play it very like randomly now. But I've actually like steamed through this game twice. The first time I did it, I was aware of the honor system, and I kind of like knew that I should be doing better than I was.
Yeah.
But I think I had like a bit of a healthy mix. I kind of towed the line on the middle the whole time, really. But annoyingly, by the time it got to the end, I was one notch over the dishonorable like segment. So I got the ending that wasn't so favourable. And again, if like I say, there's a spoiler warning at the beginning, but if you haven't finished the game and you want to finish the game, this is your warning. Obviously, Micah shoots Arthur in the face.
Yeah.
And I was fucking livid. I remember I think I called you after and said, do I get to kill him?
Yeah.
And you were like, just play the game. And I said, no, Nathan, do I get to kill him? And then I played it. Obviously, then you obviously do get to kill him. But then I played it the second time round just so that I like, because the satisfaction, Micah's satisfaction of shooting me was still like burning into me. So I had to play it the second time round the way I think you're meant to play it and the way Arthur's written to be played.
Yeah.
And I like overall I had a better experience because I knew the game better and blah, blah, blah. But you also kind of get to understand Arthur as a character a lot more. And also just to not see Micah shoot him in the face for that one moment is just enough to like replay like the 25-hour plus game all the way again.
So when you told me that you got that ending, that you had Micah shoot Arthur in the face, I think my thought was like, you must have tried really hard to be a prick in that game, because from the way I played it, it is just so incredibly easy to get honor. Like I was especially towards the end of the game, I had so much. It was coming out of my bags, my pockets. It was my honor could not get any higher. Like I kept doing missions and I kept doing side quests, and you know how you have the little honor marker come up saying plus honor or whatever. It just kept going, yeah. But my bar didn't progress because it was already full, and that just happened so much. There's so many opportunities to get good honor. So you must have just killed everyone you
Alright.
saw or something like that.
Well, I mean, look, Nathan, this isn't the let's rub it in show, all right? I got my comeuppance, right? Micah shot me in the face. I learnt my lesson.
It's what you
Right, but
deserve, quite frankly.
I wouldn't say I was trying, like, going out my way to be a prick, but there would be times where I'm, you know, like, look, let's be honest. You're playing as a cowboy in the Wild West, and then you're holding someone over a building. Someone that's like, you're in the middle of town, a guy goes, "Hey, I know you," and he like basically wants to get you in a load of shit. You chase him down, you hold him over a cliff, and you have the choice to just like basically say, "Dude, shut up."
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone, and he will. And he won't, sorry. Or you can just drop him. And I was like, well, bearing in mind, it's like my first introduction to like the honor system in the game. And I was like, well, I'm thinking all the choices I make, clearly something happens because of them. Like maybe the story gets affected, which, you know, in a kind of similar way it does. But I was like, look, I don't want to fuck things up for my camp. I've got like kids at my camp, man. Like, so I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna just straight up kill this guy. And I did, and then obviously it doesn't make any drastic changes to the story.
Doesn't make any changes to the story whatsoever.
You know, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time, and then I was down that path, wasn't I? And then after that, it's just fucking all downhill from there. I was shooting people left, right, and centre. At one time, I walked past this guy, and you know, when the NPCs have that kind of like the weird, like you walk like within a meter of them, and they go, "Hey, watch it here," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that was in the middle of Saint Denis, which is the big city you can go to, and I just fucking offloaded lead into him. And then next thing you know, I'm shooting my way out, and it's all downhill.
So you're really not helping your case that you didn't try to be a prick here.
No, I didn't try to be a prick. When I was provoked,
When an
acted.
NPC said to you, "Watch it," you pulled out a gun and unloaded a full clip into him.
Oh, not just one full clip, Nathan. This guy was long dead by the time I'd stopped shooting. Look, I was provoked, and I was a rough around the edges cowboy, and I don't get told what to do by little fucking NPC pricks.
All right, so clearly you didn't try at all. You just wanted to play GTA in the Old West, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
It was Rockstar. I was taught this from a young age. Kill everyone in a Rockstar game.
No, kill everyone in GTA. That's what you were taught, okay?
Fine.
This is different.
Fine.
But yeah, so like I say though, if you actually take the time and you do invest in Arthur and invest in him the right way, I think you're hugely rewarded. And that's why, like I always said to you, do the side quests, do as many as you can, even if they seem insignificant, even if they seem boring, do them. They will pay off. And they do. And I think one of the biggest ways that happens, and I'm not even sure if this is something you will have experienced, but there's a mission in Saint Denis, kind of not a little over halfway through the game, I'd say, where you get the opportunity to help out a monk and a nun, essentially. Total optional side quest. You don't have to do it, but obviously I did, and didn't really think much of it at the time. It was just a nice little mission. Arthur doing a nice thing, helping out these people who he doesn't need to help out, doesn't need to give them money, doesn't need to do anything. He could just shoot them and be on his way, because that's kind of the person he is, but he is also trying to be a better person as well. But then towards the end of the game, when everything's gone to shit, the camp and the gang are falling apart. Dutch is paranoid as hell. Micah is whispering in his ear. People are starting to leave and run away from the group. Just everything is going to shit. It's just the beginning of the end, essentially. There's a moment where you go to a train station for one of the missions. I believe it's the one just after you get the horses off the boat. And I believe you go to a train station. And the first time I played this, you meet the reverend, the father in the camp, and he's leaving and he's going off. So you have a little goodbye moment with him. Now, the second time I played through the story, the Reverend wasn't there at all. He leaves an entirely different way. He was just gone in the night, left a note. But in his place, the nun who you helped earlier in the game is there instead. And she has a conversation with Arthur, and it's one of the most beautiful and touching and frankly emotional conversations I've ever really heard. Because obviously at this point, Arthur knows he's dying, and they have a conversation about that. And she's just basically telling him about the kind of person he is and about the kind of legacy he's going to leave and everything like that. I'm not really doing it justice, but it's
I remember I didn't get to experience it the first time. I did get to experience it the second time round when I was played it like a fucking patron saint, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a, like you say, it's about kind of life and everything. And I think they touch on a little bit of like what impact you make on people. And he says that line, I'm afraid, he says, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He says he's afraid.
Oh man. And bear in mind, like, Arthur's a man of few words. You barely hear him. You don't hear him say much, like, unless he has to, unless he's in like a conflict situation. And him just saying those two words, it's enough for you to, like, it basically lets you in on the character. Not that you're not already, but it's that last kind of emotional door that you haven't unlocked, and you get to see him be vulnerable, and it's like, oh, Jesus fucking hell, man.
And I think that's why I really connected with Arthur. That's why I just absolutely fell in love with this character, because when you're introduced to him, he's not a good person. He's done a lot of bad things, and he's still kind of doing them at the beginning of the game. Like, he won't have any problem robbing people, killing people at the beginning of the game. That's just who he is. But as the story goes on, and you know, certain things happen, like him having to beat people up for money and just other missions with the gang and everything like that. Just certain things happen, and it's just the switch over in the latter half of the game, more towards the end, where, again, if you play it right, where he really just tries to be a better person. And like, I think another part of it, again, completely optional, is so more towards the beginning of the game, Arthur beats up a very sick man because he owes Herr Strauss money, and that's how he actually gets the TB, ironically enough. And that man dies mostly because of the TB, but he leaves behind a wife and a son. And later in the game, you come across the wife and the son again, and obviously they hate you because of what you've done, but you still get the chance to help them. And helping them does absolutely nothing for you. There's no reward for it. You don't get a payout. You don't get anything like that. If anything, it hurts you because you give them money and you're left with less money in the game and everything like that. So it's in your interest not to do it. But if you do it, you get this incredible story of a man just trying to right the wrongs in his life before he goes, just trying to be a better person in this little time he has left. And I don't know, I just really love that.
Well, the reason, like I said, one of the main selling points of this game for me, which I think it does so fucking well, is the characters in general. Obviously, we've spoken about Arthur, but a character that really parallels Arthur, I think, is Dutch, who is he's obviously like the leader of the gang. I mean, it's called the Van der Linde Gang, which is his name, and it's essentially he's basically like a father figure to Arthur. I think they picked him up when he was like, I think Dutch was in like his early 30s, and Arthur was like 15 or something.
Something like that.
And so they picked him up. They kind of took him in as treated him like a son, and they've known those three, Dutch, Arthur, and
Jose.
What's his name? Hosea. Yeah, they were like the main three that started it, and obviously the bond they have is ridiculously strong at the start of the game, even though they bicker and everything like that. But they're two grown men. By the end of it, like, depending on what ending you get, every way it goes, Dutch does wrong by Arthur massively. And it's interesting that the whole arc that Arthur has is starting off a prick and becoming a man that's at least trying to right his wrongs and do good. And Dutch starts the game with very honourable intentions. Is all about the, not exploiting or killing people that don't need to be killed, only robbing from people that have the money to be robbed from, towards the end. But towards the end, like you say, with Micah whispering in his ear and everything, he just becomes this kind of insufferable prick. And it is very much about how, like, the power and the money and the status can really twist someone, essentially. And I think his character, I mean, I've got it in my notes every time. I think it's literally, without fail, every single cutscene, I liked Dutch less and less. And it got to the point where, like, at the start of the game, I was respecting him. He'd ask me to do something, and I'd be eager to do that mission because I'm like, oh, fucking Dutch is, like, my guy in this. Obviously, I knew where he ended up because I played the first game, but, you play it as if you're invested in the current story, which you are. And then it gets to the end, and it got to the point where, like, even though I'd be sat there playing this game by myself, he'd say something, and I'd just go, "Oh, fuck off, Dutch, you prick," like, to myself. And it is that, and obviously that's another thing I've got down is I love the character of Micah because he's such a successful. Like, you've got the classic villains like Joffrey from Game of Thrones, villains that are so good at being assholes that you just fucking hate them. And they do, like, such a good job. But what did you think of those two?
Dutch is much the same. Like, obviously, you start off the game quite liking and respecting him. I'll be honest, I was never a huge fan of him just because I knew how the story was played out. Like, he's the villain in the first game, I knew that. But still, it's a younger Dutch. He's a little different, a little skinnier, and at the beginning, certainly a much nicer character anyway. But yeah, like when he starts to turn, and I think it's like when they get back from, they go somewhere, but
where do they end up going?
Somewhere in the Caribbean. They end up somewhere in the Caribbean. Cuba, I think it's Cuba.
I think it's near Cuba.
Yeah. Anyway, they go there, they get shipwrecked and everything. And I think after that, that's when Dutch just really starts to turn. And from then on, he's just unraveling. Like, the longer the game goes on, just the more insane and paranoid he gets. And it's really good and interesting to watch. But also at the same time, you're just like, oh, come on, man, what are you doing? And I think the moment where it really shows more than anything, I think this is the mission where you go to the to fight with the Native Americans. They come to the camp requesting your help, and you go to fight with the Native Americans. I think it's that anyway. I might be wrong, but it's around that time. And Arthur he asks Dutch, just let the women and children go. Just, be nice, just let them go, and then we can do this and do what we need to do. And Arthur says, I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist. And just that one word, insist, you can tell it just eats away at Dutch. Like, he goes, yeah, sure, Arthur, yeah, no problem. But then when Arthur's got his back turned, he's like, insist. And it's just eating away at him, and he cannot let that go whatsoever. And I think that's the reason why later in that same mission, if I've got my times right, Arthur is in trouble. Like, there's someone with a gun to him, and Dutch has the chance to help him, but instead he just walks away and doesn't do anything. Yeah,
mate, I remember playing that moment, and I genuinely, like again, like I say, I'd be playing a lot of this game just sat on the sofa by myself, and like, that moment happened, and I remember being like, he's got a clear shot, and then he turned his back, and I went, you cheeky fucking, like, you fucker. I was literally, obviously, that he's the villain of the game, but Arthur's a totally new character. You know who Dutch is, but again, you don't know his relationship to Arthur, because Arthur is a completely new, for the most part, character. I didn't expect him, like, at that point in the game to just fucking leave me. Like,
Yeah.
because it's not just the fact that he like leaves you in trouble knowing you can get out of it. Like, there's a pretty fucking clear chance that you're going to die. And someone, I think, what's the young Native American's name? Is it
Eagle Flies?
Eagle Flies, yeah. Eagle Flies does die in that moment to help Arthur.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, there was a very big chance of Arthur not getting out of it. And it was the fact that Dutch just fucking completely turned his back. I was like, oh, you are a fucking prick. And to be fair, I was amazed that the game kind of kept you on with him, and like you still had stuff to do with him after that point.
Yeah.
But then obviously it sets up the ending.
Yeah, he's definitely a very complicated character in this game anyway. And there is a lot of layers to him. Like we say, as it go on, just the more unraveled and unbearable he becomes, really, because I really started to hate him towards the end. Someone I hated right from the very beginning was Mika. Fuck that guy, man. Never liked Mika.
Are you calling him Mika?
Mika, I don't care.
It's Micah. Mika is the singer.
Well, I don't care. I'm not showing this prick any respect, all right? I'm not getting his fucking name right. Fuck that guy. I hate him, man.
I've said his name like 6 times in this podcast so far, and then you
I don't care, all right? Fuck him. I hate him. He's a prick.
I try to be like Grace Kelly.
Shut up. You're absolutely right, yeah. He's a great villain in the sense that, like Joffrey, like Ramsay Bolton, like whoever else from a different TV show, you hate him, and he's a successful villain because you hate him so much. So yeah, great in that respect, but insufferable. Every time he came onto screen, I just wanted to unload a full clip into his body. I hate him.
The worst thing about this is the fact that obviously you abide by the whole, like, you can't just rugby tackle the people that are like characters in this game. Like, you can rugby tackle pretty much anyone, but the people that you can't are the people that are like either in mission with you or the people that you at least know. Which is another thing, actually. I do love just like go in the epilogue when you're like walking around as John. Sometimes you just like see Uncle out and about in the town, which is quite funny.
I do enjoy that. I think you can meet most of the gang members. Actually, you can.
Yeah, I like that because it's one of the few games where the NPCs you can like. It really feels like they have a life, and I'll talk more about the realism of the game in a second. But yeah, man, Micah is just fucking. Like he is insufferable. Like you say, every time that he comes anywhere near you. And he had the worst. I think they knew what they were doing. Like the script writers knew exactly what they were up to when they got Micah to always refer to you as like cowpoke or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like black lung or whatever. Like just a lot of
black lung is
nicknames.
more towards the end when you're dying
because he's coughing his guts out. Yeah. But there's they knew exactly what they were doing because every time he called me a nickname, I was like, "We're not fucking friends." I was livid, and obviously, because you're so immersed by this point in the story that you're just there praying at the end that you get to kill him. And like, obviously, the one issue that I have with it is that Arthur never gets to see him buried. Like, I just that doesn't sit right with me. But obviously, you offload into him as John, so that I can at least settle with that.
The way you kill him as John is very satisfying, but yeah, it does sting that he got to live a whole 7 years longer than Arthur Morgan. It is upsetting. The sweetest, goodest, purest boy in the West.
There's a few people that would disagree with that, I reckon.
Well, they can die.
But they're wrong.
What is not a huge character in the game, but one I really liked, and just the more I heard this character talk, the more I just really liked what they was about. What did you think of Rains Falls?
I really liked him. I think it was like I think they even reference it, that it's a very unlikely friendship that like Arthur has with him. Yeah. But there's one mission, and I remember playing the mission. It's where you go like picking for like some of the flowers or something that have like healing property. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
That you go looking around for flowers and shit, basically.
And it's a very slow-paced mission as well.
Yeah, and I remember doing it, and obviously you don't really know the character that well at this point, and you're walking along, and you go... I remember being sat there playing it, going, "Oh fuck me! All right, let's hurry this up. Can the horse not go any faster than this? Blah blah blah." And obviously, every time you pick a flower, you have to manually get off, pick the flower, have a conversation about it. I was like, fuck me, this is going on forever. But then one of the moments in the conversation brings up that Arthur had a son.
Yeah.
And I was, every time you kind of get a little bit bored or frustrated with it not being like fast paced enough, the game brings you back to the characters. And he's a character, Rains Falls is definitely a character that stands out because he's one of the characters that is the emotional, like one of the emotional doors into Arthur. Like Arthur confides in him more so than like any other character. So the moments he has with him are naturally quite special because of that.
I think he's a character who has quite a big effect on Arthur. I think he's definitely someone who makes him just clearly want to be a better person. He's almost the opposite of Dutch in a way. He's like a father figure, but coming at it from like the opposite side entirely. Dutch raised Arthur in a gang. He raised him to shoot, to kill, to rob, to do what he needs to survive. And then suddenly he's coming across this man whose entire philosophy is peace, and who doesn't, and almost to a fault at times as well, like he doesn't even want to hurt the people who have captured his own family, who are hurting his own family. He even sees that as a wrong. He doesn't want to hurt those who have hurt him and who keep hurting him. Like a big part, not a big part, but a part of this game is, you know, what the Americans did to the Native Americans and forcing them out of their own land and everything like that. And he still doesn't want to be to hurt those people in any way whatsoever. He just wants to live a peaceful life with his people. And you can certainly argue, because I was the same. I was like, that's frustrating. You need to see it from this side. Just peace alone doesn't bring about any results, and I think that's why you had characters like Charles Lee. You had Charles Smith, I think, and Eagle Falls and everything like that, who could be that other side of him. But it's really, I don't know. I really admired that about him, that he was just, his whole thing was peace, even in the face of hatred and anger and violence. He was still just about peace. There's just something really admirable about that.
Well, like, it just every single character in this affects Arthur differently, and they're all there to be like the surrogate for the audience. Essentially, they're all there to open up a different side to him, which is very, very interesting. And like I say, he is definitely one of the most interesting, because the conversations you can have with him, some of them in story, some of them just by like walking around the camp and having little interactions. Some of them are just like I say, they really just let you in ways that other characters don't.
The stories about his son and his wife in particular were just incredible, heartbreaking, but incredible.
Yeah, well, like when I was playing that mission, like I said, the whole time I wanted it to be like, all right, let's hurry this along. And then when that conversation propped up, I was like, oh my god, I want more detail. I want to know more, to the point where I paused the game and like Googled it. Obviously trying to be careful of spoilers, but like at the same time I was like, oh, I Googled like, did Arthur have a son? Is he bullshitting? Like because I think it's the only time it's mentioned in the whole game.
I think it's also mentioned in his journal at one point as well.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's the only time it's actually spoken about. Anyway.
Yeah.
Did you come across a character called Charlotte?
Refresh me, in case I didn't. I might have done.
She is a woman who her husband had recently died, and she kind of like lives in the wilderness on her own, in a cabin, like in the very, very north of the map.
I can't say that I did come across her. I don't recall it.
She is a side character. You get the option to meet her three separate times, and it is more towards the end of the game as well. But she is another one of my favorites, just because her and Arthur just kind of build this. It's not exactly a romantic relationship, but there's clearly chemistry between them, and it's just a nice little moment, nice few little moments. Really, you essentially just help her out a few times. Like you teach her how to hunt, you teach her how to shoot a gun, and everything like that. She rewards you by giving you a fully cooked meal and everything like that.
Okay.
And at that point, you do like pass out because of the TB, and you have like a big coughing fit, and she like nurses you back to health and everything like that. And there just is some really good moments between those two characters. And then later on in the game, as John, you can come across her again and just give her the news about Arthur and just let her know that he died. And it's just nice that you can build those relationships in the game. Like, she's just one example, but she's one that I really liked because, like you haven't experienced it. It's something that quite a lot of people won't experience. But I just love those optional quests in the game, which do add quite a lot of it, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, they do. And the one thing I really, really enjoy is when I found out when Arthur died, and I realised, oh, fuck, because I didn't realise I was going on to the last mission.
Yeah.
That would obviously see Arthur die at the end. One of the main things I thought, other than fuck Micah, was oh fuck, like there were so many side quests I wanted to get done before the end of the game, and then the epilogue comes around, and obviously some of them are gone, but a lot of them are like rejigged for John to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I really did enjoy. Some of them are a little bit cheesy, like it'll be, oh, my friend told me about you, like before he died ages ago, kind of thing, which obviously, probably didn't happen, but the game wants to give you that fair opportunity to still have those experiences, which is good. Which leads me on to my next point, actually. The actual, obviously we've spoken a bit about the characters and the story. What did you think about the actual, like how the game run? Because this is a very slow game for the most part, which normally, me, would bore me quite a lot. But I really enjoyed this. So what are the kind of game elements that you enjoyed from this game?
It's interesting you bring that up because I recently watched a video. It's talking about how Rockstar's game design is outdated. In a sense.
Oh, is this guy on the bouncy ball?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Mate, I don't know who or what this guy is, right? But he I think he's made like 2 big videos, and they've both blown the fuck up. This guy is mastering YouTube.
They are pretty huge. Yeah, he keeps getting recommended to me all the time. So I watched that, and he does make a lot of good points. In the sense that, I mean, you even said it earlier with GTA. Like a lot of it is just driving to a place, shooting people, and that's pretty much it. It's not that much different with Red Dead. As much as I love the game, a lot of the game is going somewhere on a horse, talking to someone while you doing a mission, which doesn't really have that much impact on the overall story. Wash, rinse, repeat. That is a large portion of the game. I like it. I like the game, but it is very repetitive in that sense. And I think as well, there's also quite a few criticisms of the game of just how in-depth it is in terms of like micromanaging everything, because like, yeah, you can go hunting, but you need to do it in the right way. Like you need to shoot a deer with the right gun. You need to make sure you're using the right ammo. Otherwise, the pelts won't be as good and everything like that. Your hair grows, so you have to go to the barbershop or trim your own beard if you don't want it to grow out unruly. You need to eat. You need to look after yourself. There's all kinds of like different micromanaging levels. You need to take a fucking bath at times as well because you stink. There's all kinds of different like micromanaging levels, which some people say detract from the experience of it. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. I just kind of like all that shit though. I enjoy all of that. I'm not sure why.
Don't get me wrong, right? I think it mainly for me it stems down to the fact that this is the first time, like, it's the main game, right? If you don't like Arthur, you won't like this game because of how character focused it is. It's like the story is basically an internal drama for him.
Yeah.
And I think the story goes a long way. One, I think the realistic elements of the game are great, and I'll touch on them in a second. But the fact that you actually have to look after Arthur, like the fact that you have to give him a bath, the fact that you have to like make sure he's like fed, like the fact that you have to shave him and go to a barber's if you want a haircut, and once you cut your hair, you can't just change it to be a long style again, which is side point. Realistic barber in a Rockstar game is great news. I really enjoyed that. But it goes a long way to actually making you care about the character and also immersing you to feel like the character. Like, how many other characters do you know where you've had to like sit through like a 2-minute cutscene of like him having a bath? Like, it's very rare. But I think it just adds, like, okay, it's a little, sometimes it's a lot. Like the whole you have to know what gun to use kind of thing. That stuff, I'm not like, it's not that I'm not keen on it, but I could do without it, and it wouldn't really make much of a difference for me. But the stuff that, like, when you skin an animal and stuff like that, you have to like get off your horse, you go and do, and it's not like a cutaway cutscene. It's all in game, but you still have to wait there. You can't do anything else. You have to go, then you have to go and put it back on your horse. Your horse then gets slower because of it. The energy drains faster. Like, it's all stuff that in real life you'd have to consider. And I like that the game doesn't, like, it's trying to be realistic, and it does not shy away from that to the point where sometimes it may go too far, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. And I think, fucking how much. Remember Assassin's Creed 3, the cutscenes for the hunting?
Yeah.
For me, those didn't work because they're like 30 seconds long, and they're not there.
Those are even less than this.
But they're in a fast-paced game. They're in a fast-paced game where you can kill like 8 people in less than 30 seconds, and it doesn't work. Whereas in this game, a slower approach works better because it gives you that time with the character to experience all of those little details. It just makes me feel closer to the character, I think.
That's fair enough. Okay, yeah. I mostly agree. I like all the little elements like that, looking after Arthur and the hunting and everything like that. I can certainly understand why people say it detracts or it's too much or whatever, but no, I quite enjoy it. It doesn't do anything for me. Sure, the gameplay mechanics could definitely do. We've been updated, the mission structure and everything like that, because it is just a lot of ride to a place, have a conversation along the way, do a thing. It is just that repeated, essentially. It definitely could have done with some more variety in there. But overall, the story of Arthur was what I was invested in. If there was a little repetition along the way, that's not too much of an issue for me, really.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, it might be you might be experiencing a bit of repetition, but the stuff that you're doing isn't like boring.
Yeah,
You're doing fun stuff, so I guess there's. I think it could go either way, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I think I've said my piece on it. Is there anything you wanted to bring up, or like favorite moments, maybe, or?
No, that's pretty much everything I'd want to go over. Favorite moments would just be I really like the moment where you're just walking down the street in Saint Denis, and then you just collapse, and it's the moment where Arthur then goes to the doctor and finds out that he's got the TB, because it's just such a shift, and you don't know what's going on at first. And I really enjoy that moment. Any moment where Arthur is just a good, sweet boy, which for me was most of the game. I love Arthur Morgan so much; he's so great, and I love the way he talks to his horse as well. I love that. That's my boy.
That's my boy.
Yeah, the boy. And also, I was saying to you earlier, this game has a terrible effect on me because whenever I'm playing it, I just put on a very bad Southern American accent and just try to speak like a cowboy all the time. I'm always like, yeah, I've been around these parts for nigh on 20 years, and I've been shooting my pistol and all that. And yeah,
Thank you for giving me a clean recording of that, just for
You're welcome.
all purposes in the future that I need it for.
You're certainly welcome.
No, I do the same. I do the exact same. I don't know. I think there's a lot of moments that stand out, but also not a lot because, like I said, the game does get a little bit repetitious, and the story elements of it are what carries it. I think one of my favourite moments is actually in the epilogue, where you it's right at the end, or very close to at least, when you confront Micah. You finally get up the top of the hill. You're playing as John, and you're with Sadie, and Bill.
Great character, by the way.
Sadie's fantastic. She's brilliant. But yeah, I got up to the hill, and then it's the moment where Micah's there, and Dutch comes out, and obviously, even though, like, whatever ending you got, Dutch was still a bit hesitant to trust Micah because right at the end of it, Arthur said, like, look, dude, he's a fucking rat. Like, and Arthur, Dutch doesn't really know what to believe. So in one version, he kind of sulks out. But yeah, so he's there hiding with them. And it's the moment where John's like, dude, don't be a complete piece of shit, please. And Dutch shoots Micah, giving you the window to fucking just offload into him. And obviously, although you know where Dutch ends up, and you know that definitely shit isn't resolved between John and Dutch because of how their story ends. It's that moment where you kind of see Dutch go, all right, I'm not a complete piece of shit, and Arthur still meant something to me, which is good. I really like that moment.
Too little, too late for me. Fuck him.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Still, absolutely, fuck him. But yeah, it's the little moment. It's just one of them things that makes the game so character driven. It's that little detail that I liked, because it would have been very easy to just not have him there. Like, it wouldn't have affected his story in the first game or anything. It wouldn't have affected the setup. It would have been very easy just to have another dude there, or like, I don't know, something else distract Micah for like a millisecond for John to shoot him. What kind of pod was this for you?
It was a video game.
Nathan, that's not how we do things here.
Well, how we do things is dumb, okay? I fucking hate this rating system.
Oh, here we go. You hate the rating system again.
It makes no sense.
Previously on Nathan was a grouchy bastard.
Fuck you.
Come on, you know how this works. You say what you liked about the pod. You use an adjective, and then we sign off.
There's only so many adjectives. All right. Fuck it. I'm going rogue. I liked the game. Really enjoyed Red Dead Redemption 2. It's Jason Bourne.
I don't know.
Arthur Morgan's story is definitely why I love the game so much. Certainly there is problems with the gameplay mechanics. Certainly it is a little bit repetitive. But like I say, Arthur's story just trumps all of that for me. So fuck you. I'm going to give this game a...
What the fuck are you doing, Nathan? Don't you dare.
9 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, gone rogue. Fuck you.
Fucking hell. All right, fine. If that's the way you want to play, Nathan, all right, I'm sticking to my fucking guns. This pod, for me, was a delightfully fun, engaging, character-driven pod.
It's not a pod.
It is. Fuck off, Nathan. All right, Jesus. It's my rating system. I brought it into the. You know what? We brought it. We agreed on this rating system as well, and you've been fine with it for weeks.
We didn't agree on it. We realised whilst we was recording our first episode that we had no rating system, and we settled on this.
Well, I like it. I've grown to appreciate it. Now, if you please let me finish my rating.
Hurry up.
I would give this a pod out of 10.
Fucking fuck you. just fuck you.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening. This will be out whenever, wherever.
Happy
we're meant to be
Thursday,
together.
Friday, or Saturday, or possibly Sunday. Who the fuck knows?
It won't be Sunday. We have a spooky episode coming on Sunday, and Nathan
we'll
has
see
to do
about
his
that.
homework this week.
I've always do my homework. When have I never not?
Nathan, minutes before recording this pod, you went, "This is completely off the cuff for me."
Well, I mean, first of all, why you got at me like that? Second of all, still did good though, didn't I?
We did. This
Anyway,
was a tremendous pod.
enough of your pods. I've had enough. All right, so follow us on Twitter. Give us a message there. Let us know what you thought. If you want to, let us know if you want us to talk about anything next. Blah blah blah. All that bullshit, you know what to do. We're over there at Another Happy Pod. Where the Pint Size Network is still in the process of being set up on YouTube. No one really knows what that is yet, so that doesn't mean shit to anyone. But we're just in the process of setting up our own little network and a YouTube channel and everything like that. I don't believe any of the episodes are up there apart from the first one at the moment.
The first one is there. I've got to do some rework on the thumbnails. I've exported them too large, and YouTube is not enjoying how big they are. I've since deleted the others, so I'm gonna have a big Sunday thumbnail making session. But yeah, like Nathan said, follow us on Twitter. Listen to us in the shower or on your way to work. And we will see you on
playing
Sunday.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's true. That is also true. Do that then.
But don't
we
miss
will
the
see you
story.
on Sunday for the... Nathan, I'm doing the fucking outro. All right?
Fuck you.
Jesus. Right. We will see you on Sunday. Let's hope Nathan didn't lose the audio for this week. Ciao.
There's just no need. Goodbye. Another happy pod, I guess.
Another Happy Pod.